Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to our lecturer, Dr. Sabrina, and my fellow friends. Today my group will present on the purchase case that we've got, and let's start. Okay, so this is the process involved in the purchase cycle. In the case that we've got, the major purchasing activity in Lacymore Company is purchasing of material. 90% of critical raw material are supplied by a single vendor that are quite reliable and has good delivery record. Furthermore, all significant purchases are put on a competitive bid to find the right vendor. Purchasing departments will give a memoranda to the vendor regarding the minimum acceptable product quality specification. The department manager is responsible for assuring that vendors adhere to the quality specification. Then, the material department manager will prepare a purchase order based on a 4-month production schedule. As production changes, rush orders are made directly to the purchasing department by production manager. Purchasing department audit the materials needed to accomplish engineering changes. As soon as the engineering department approve the changes, the material manager accept partial shipment and advance shipments and notify the receipts to the purchasing manager. The purchasing department is responsible for the following up on partial shipments. So these are the journal entries related to the purchasing cycle. First, debit raw material and credit account payables to recognize the acquisition of raw material. And then debit account payable and credit purchase discount to recognize purchase on discounts. And then we debit account payable and credit cash to recognize the payments for credit purchase. And then debit selling expenses and credit account payables to record expenses incurred for the sales to occur. Okay, these are the examples of accounts involved in the case, and as you can see here, these are all the accounts that involved in a purchasing cycle. We have cash in banks, account payables, raw material purchase accounts, purchase returns and allowance accounts, purchase discounts accounts, selling expenses accounts, and prepaid expenses accounts, and so on.
Moving forward to the source documents involved in purchasing process. So the first is purchase order. The function of purchase order is used for description, quality and quantity of and other information on the goods being purchased. The second one is purchase requisition. It is used for requesting goods for an authorized individual or department within the entity. Next one is vendor invoice. It is basically a bill from the vendor that state the amount owed to the vendor. Next is voucher. Voucher is used to control payment for acquired goods, serve as the basis for recording a vendor's invoice in purchases journal. Last one is voucher register. Voucher register is to record the vouchers for goods. Okay, moving forward to the flowchart of purchase cycle. So it starts with the purchasing department. The duty of purchasing department is to receive and approve purchase requisition from another department. And then the input are sent to IT department. After correcting any error, only then the purchasing department purchase order. The purchase order are filed numerically. Next is IT department. So IT department manage purchase order file and account payable master file. The input from purchasing department are assigned under purchase order program. The purchase order are distributed to vendor, account payable department, receiving department and purchasing department, which mean the purchasing order are made into 4 copies to be distributed into the 4 person. Next is receiving department. Receiving department receive purchase order that serve as receiving report. Basically, receiving report is a copy of purchase order, but the quantities are omitted. Then, receiving department receive the goods, count the goods, and inspected the goods. Okay, continue to the account payable department. So, account payable department will compare invoice to purchase order and receiving report. They also will update account payable to IT department and review and authorize payment and make cash disbursement report. Next is IT department. IT department always update on account payable. It's either daily or monthly. And IT department also handle the cash disbursement program. Last one is cashiers department. Cashier department review checks and give to vendor. Basically, cashier department makes payment on behalf of the company to the vendor.
Internal control involved in the purchasing cycle. First, purchase orders are properly authorized. Second, purchase orders are accurately and completely prepared and recorded on a timely basis. Third, all purchase order transactions are reliable, processed and reported. Fourth, receipt of material and supplies are properly authorized. Fifth, receipt of material and supplies are recorded accurately and completely on a timely basis. Next, all material and supply receipts transactions are reliable, processed and reported. Lastly, performance measures used to control and improve the process are reliable. Risk areas in the purchasing cycle are divided to two, which is inherent risk and controlled risk. First, I will explain about the inherent risk. The first point for the inherent risk is industry-related factor, which is affected by the supply and demand of raw material or goods for resale. Second point for the inherent risk is misstatement detected in prior audit. When you are auditing purchases, check out past year work to see what types of misstatement existed. Lastly is the management misstatement of expenditure. For example, understated payable. Okay, now I will explain about the controlled risk. First point for the controlled risk is the authorization of purchase. All purchase must be authorized by the manager or supervisors. Second is the timely recorded and independent review of transaction. We must record all the purchases ordered from the customer on the timely basis. Lastly is the authorizations of payment. All payment being made must be authorized by the supervisor or legal entity. Important assertion for the purchasing cycle. First is occurrence. All purchase and cash disbursement transaction and events that have been recorded have occurred and pertain to the entity. Completeness. All purchase and cash disbursement transactions and events that should have been recorded have been recorded. Accuracy. Amount and other data relating to record purchase and cash disbursement transaction and event have been recorded appropriately. Cut-off. Purchase and cash disbursement transactions and event have been recorded in the correct accounting period. Classification. Purchase and cash disbursement transaction and event have been recorded in the proper account. Authorizations. All purchase and cash disbursement transactions and event are properly authorized. Relevant audit procedure for the purchasing cycle. First is ask. Ask management about control procedure used to identify unrecorded liability at the end of the period. Second is obtain. Obtain copies of vendor's monthly statement and reconcile the amount to the client account payable record. Third is confirm. Confirm vendor account, including account with small and zero balance. Fourth is vouch. Vouch expensive item from the purchase journal and cash disbursement journal for a limited time after year end. Lastly is examine. Examine the file unmatched purchase order, receiving report, and vendor invoice for any unrecorded liability.
Okay, so these are answers to the questions in our case. Lessimore's company's purchasing policies deficiencies. First of all, its significant purchases through competitive bidding has no specific qualification included in the purchasing policy. And a way to recommendation to it to improve the policy is the purchasing policy should include the specific qualification for a vendor so that the choosing of a vendor is more easier to the employees to pick. And then second deficiency is using a memo to inform the vendors regarding the acceptable product quality specification. So the purchasing department should include the acceptable product quality specification in the contract before signing them. This is to make sure that the vendors can comply with the specification that we wanted, that the companies want. And then the third deficiency is inadequate segregation of duties. The improvement should be the proper segregation of duty by considering knowledge and skills of the department to handle. And then the fourth deficiency is the material purchase is not fully utilized, which may cause material obsolete. Okay, and it can be improved by before preparing a purchase order, the manager should look into the available material and ensure to utilize them before making a new order to prevent obsolescence of material.